Picture this. You're wading through the warm shallows of an Australian tide pool, ankle deep, completely at ease. The water is glass clear and cool against your skin. Coral fans out beneath your feet in impossible colours, burnt orange, deep violet, the kind of blue that doesn't look real. It's the sort of place that makes you feel like the world is fundamentally good. You're not in a hurry. You're just exploring. And then you see it. Resting on a shelf of rock, barely the size of your fist, is a small, mottled octopus. Brownish, unassuming. Then the light shifts, and it begins. Rings, dozens of them, electric blue, iridescent, pulsing in rhythmic waves across its skin, like a warning written in a language you don't speak. It's one of the most beautiful things you've ever seen. So you do what any curious, warm-blooded human would do. You reach down. It doesn't run. It doesn't ink. It barely moves. There's just a tiny pressure on your finger, less than a pinch, less than a splinter, and then nothing. No sting, no burning, no immediate signal from your body that anything has gone wrong. You pull your hand back and look at the spot, a small red mark, easily mistaken for a scratch from the coral. You look back at the octopus. It pulses its rings one more time, almost lazily, and drifts away. You have no idea you're already dying. Today, we're talking about tetrodotoxin. Specifically, what happens when a creature the size of a golf ball injects you with a poison 1,000 times deadlier than cyanide, and there is no antidote. Not a weak antidote. Not an experimental one. None. Zero. The medical community has had decades to work on this, and the answer remains a hard, unflinching nothing. What makes tetrodotoxin particularly cruel isn't just its potency, it's its patience. It doesn't announce itself. There's no searing pain, no immediate collapse, no dramatic Hollywood moment where you know with certainty that something has gone catastrophically wrong. It simply begins its work quietly, methodically, in the background, like a hacker already inside the system before anyone's noticed the breach. In the next 20 minutes, it will dismantle you piece by piece, not your consciousness. That stays. You'll be completely aware of everything happening to you right up until the end. You just won't be able to do a single thing about it. This isn't a story about fighting back. There's no fight here. This is a story about what it feels like to lose control of your own body, one system at a time. Let's get into it. Here's what nobody tells you about the most dangerous bite in the ocean. You won't feel it. The blue-ringed octopus doesn't have fangs. It doesn't lunge. It delivers its venom through a beak. Tiny, precise, almost polite. And the bite itself produces less sensation than a paper cut. In many recorded cases, victims didn't even realize they'd been bitten until the symptoms started. Some thought they'd simply brushed against the coral. Meanwhile, the tetrodotoxin is already moving. The amount injected is microscopic. We're talking less than 2 milligrams, a quantity so small it would be invisible on a fingernail. But tetrodotoxin doesn't need volume. It's not a blunt instrument. It's a precision weapon. And right now, it's being absorbed through your skin and into your bloodstream with quiet, terrible efficiency. Within seconds, it reaches your peripheral nervous system. Within a minute, it's at the gates of your central nervous system. Your body has no mechanism to neutralize it. Your liver can't break it down fast enough. Your immune system doesn't recognize it as a threat. There's no alarm sounding anywhere. Nothing in your biology is equipped for this specific catastrophe. For the first 2 minutes, you feel almost nothing. Maybe a faint warmth in your hand, maybe a slight tingling you'd easily dismiss. You're standing in a beautiful tide pool on a sunny day, completely unaware that the clock started the moment that beak made contact. It's already been 90 seconds. To understand what tetrodotoxin does, you need to understand one thing. Your nervous system runs on electricity. Every movement you make, blinking, breathing, lifting your arm, starts as an electrical signal. That signal travels down a nerve fiber and reaches a point where it needs to cross a gap to the next cell. To do that, it opens tiny gates in the cell wall called sodium channels. Sodium floods in, the signal fires. The message gets through. Your muscle moves, simple, elegant, billions of times a day, without a single conscious thought. Tetrodotoxin's entire strategy is to jam those gates shut. It binds to the sodium channels with extraordinary specificity, essentially plugging them like a key broken off in a lock. No sodium gets through, no signal fires. The nerve sits there, ready, loaded, completely unable to transmit. And because tetrodotoxin spreads through your bloodstream, it's not targeting one nerve or one region. It's doing this everywhere simultaneously to the entire peripheral nervous system at once. Your brain is still working. It's sending signals. It wants your body to respond. But those signals are now traveling down nerve fibers that dead end into silence. The communication infrastructure of your body is being taken offline, junction by junction in real time. There's a medical term for what's about to happen to you: flaccid paralysis. Your muscles won't seize or spasm. They'll simply stop receiving orders and go limp, like a marionette whose strings are being cut one by one with no drama whatsoever. You're at the 5-minute mark, and you're starting to feel it. It starts in your face. A tingling in your lips. Subtle at first, the kind you might attribute to the sun or the salt water. Then your tongue. A strange, spreading numbness, like the tail end of a dental anesthetic wearing in rather than wearing off. You run your tongue along your teeth. Something feels wrong, but you can't quite name it. Then your fingertips. The hand that touched the octopus first, then the other. A pins and needles sensation crawling up through your palms into your wrists. You flex your fingers experimentally. They move, but the feedback is wrong. Muffled, distant, like wearing thick gloves you can't take off. You should be alarmed. Some part of you is, but the sensation isn't painful. And humans are remarkably good at explaining away discomfort that doesn't come with immediate agony. Maybe you're dehydrated. Maybe you touched something in the water. You look at the small mark on your finger again. The numbness reaches your cheeks. Your jaw feels heavy. You try to call out to whoever you came with, and your voice comes out strange, slightly slurred, slightly slow, like you're operating on a half-second delay. That's the moment most people realize. Not from the pain, there still isn't any. From the wrongness of it, the deep animal awareness that your body is doing something it has never done before, something outside the normal register of human experience, and that whatever is happening, it is not stopping. You're at the 8-minute mark. And it is absolutely not stopping. You want to shout. Every instinct you have is screaming at you to make noise, to flag someone down, to say the words, "Something is wrong, I need help, please." But your vocal cords don't answer. This is the part that breaks people, not the numbness, not even the paralysis that's coming, but this specific moment, the gap between intention and output. Your brain is fully online. The thought forms completely. The urgency is total. And your throat produces nothing but a faint, wet exhale. Not even a whisper, just breath with no shape to it. The muscles controlling your face are going the same way. Your expressions are flattening out. If someone looked at you right now, they'd see a face that appears strangely blank. Not panicked, not distressed, just absent. A mask where a person used to be. The horror you're experiencing has no way to reach the surface. You try to wave. Your arm lifts part way, sluggishly, like moving through deep water. Not enough. Not convincing enough to read as an emergency to anyone watching from a distance. The cruelty of this particular toxin isn't that it kills you. Lots of things kill you. The cruelty is the isolation. It locks you inside yourself at the exact moment you most need to reach out. Every second you can't communicate is a second that help doesn't come, and the window for intervention is not wide. You're 12 minutes in. You have things you want to say. You will not get to say them. Your legs go first. One moment you're standing unsteadily, leaning slightly, but standing, and then the strength just drains out of your knees like water through sand. There's no stumble, no dramatic fall. You simply fold slowly, and the ground comes up to meet you. You have just enough motor function left to break the fall with your hands, but even that's fading by the time you hit the water. And now you're lying in the shallows of a tide pool on a beautiful afternoon. Completely unable to get up, you try your arms. They respond the way a sleeping limb does. Present, technically attached, generating the sensation of effort without the result. Your fingers can twitch. That's about the full inventory of what you have left. The muscles of your torso, your neck, your limbs, all of them have received their last transmission. They're not in pain. They're simply done. This is flaccid paralysis in its complete form. You are not unconscious. You are not in shock. Your mind is tracking everything with a clarity that feels almost obscene given the circumstances. You can feel the water lapping at your face. You can hear it. You're aware of the sun, the sounds of the reef, the normalcy of the world continuing around you with total indifference. You cannot move. You cannot speak. You cannot signal. You are entirely dependent on someone else noticing right now that something is wrong. 15 minutes. The toxin has one thing left to take. Your diaphragm stops. Not all at once, it stutters first. Shallow breaths that don't quite complete. A tightening in your chest that isn't pain, but is somehow worse than pain, because you understand exactly what it means. Your body is trying to breathe, and increasingly, nothing is happening. The muscle that has expanded and contracted roughly 20,000 times today, without a single conscious instruction, has just received its last order. You are breathing on willpower now, and willpower has no mechanism to move a paralyzed muscle. This is the climax that Tetrodotoxin has been building toward for 20 minutes. Not cardiac arrest, not unconsciousness. Suffocation, slow in full daylight, with your mind running at complete capacity. You can hear everything. If someone is nearby, you can hear their voice. You cannot respond to it. You cannot turn your head toward it. You can only wait and process and remain absolutely entirely present for what is happening to you. There's a medical term for what rescuers need to do at this point: artificial respiration. Breathe for you, manually. For potentially hours if the venom is to metabolize on its own timeline. If someone starts doing that right now, there's a real chance you survive this. People have. The toxin isn't permanently damaging. If your brain doesn't lose oxygen, you can come out of this intact. That is the agonizing variable sitting at the center of everything. If someone starts breathing for you right now, without intervention, the end arrives quietly. The hypoxia begins the moment your breathing effectively stops. Oxygen levels in your blood drop with each failed cycle, and carbon dioxide builds in its place. Your vision, if your eyes are still open, begins to tunnel. The sounds around you grow distant, not because they've changed, but because the brain passing them is slowly losing power, like a city going dark, one grid at a time. The cognitive clarity that made the last 20 minutes so uniquely terrible begins to blur. Thought becomes thick, non-linear. The fear doesn't spike. It recedes, which is perhaps the only mercy in any of this. The brain, running low on oxygen, begins to prioritize, then abandon, then simply stop. A few minutes after the breathing stops, the heart follows. And here is the final grim irony that this story was always building toward. The creature that killed you is still out there, resting somewhere on a shelf of coral, mottled and unassuming, its blue rings faded back to invisible. It had no malice. It had no interest in you at all. It was afraid. A tiny, soft-bodied animal with no shell, no speed, no claws. And it used the only defense it had. You picked it up. Nature didn't package this as a warning. It packaged it as the most beautiful thing you'd ever seen. The blue rings weren't a threat display aimed at you. They were aimed at something much bigger, something that might have eaten it. Turns out, the dosage was the same regardless. If this is the kind of rabbit hole you enjoy falling into, subscribe. There's a new death waiting for you every week. And drop a comment below. Would you have picked it up? Be honest. Most people say no. Most people are lying.